So, okay, so somebody else is recording. I'm going to talk about Santa Claus and the Buddha and Santa Claus. They never met, by the way. I don't think they ever met. Sorry?
Oh yeah. So I'll do I'll say good evening, everyone. Tonight we have Lungfi Sander Khemmadhammo, and he'll be speaking to us about the similarities between Buddha and Santa Claus, or Father Christmas. He was born in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, in 1978, and in high school he developed a fascination with Buddhism. During his student years, he followed an introductory meditation course in the Dhammakaya Meditation Center and started volunteering in the European meditation centers during university breaks. After completing his studies, he decided to live in Wat Phra, Dhammakaya, Thailand. After becoming a monk in 2005, he moved to Wat Phra, Dhammakaya, Netherlands in 2017 as a teacher of meditation and Buddhism. But before we hear from Lumpy Sander, Nancy has a Dharma reading to share with us. Nancy, over to you.
Thank you, Nancy Jane. Yes, I have a short remark for everyone. The power of merit. Merit is the most important factor that can lead us to a successful career and life. It will bring us positive thoughts, courage, and outcomes. All our endeavors will be achieved easily and successfully. We will be surrounded by good colleagues and subordinates who are willing to support us. Moreover, the power of our merit will destroy us to live in a good environment and experience present events so that we can continue making more merit. Thank you.
That's lovely, Nancy. And for those of us who would like to pay respects to our teaching monk, please bow 3 times. Bow. 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 Thank you. Over to you, Lumpy Sander.
Good evening, everybody. So who is recording tonight? Anyway, there is somebody recording. It's still a mystery who that is, but that's okay.
I'm recording.
Okay, thank you. You can record the meditation and the teaching separately. I think that will be more useful because it's a different audience on YouTube and other media. Anyway, whether you are appreciating the meditations or the talks, we start with meditation always. And I very much look forward to today's meditation. Not for any particular reason other than that I've been busy all day. And as the Buddha once said, if you have been busy all day, then all the more reason to meditate. So today I've been actually been distributing leaflets for our meditation course in February. And so it's quite in advance because I will be away to Thailand in January. So for me, it's a good time now to make sure that that I do some PR for all the activities for next year, which I have been doing, and it's working out fine. So in February, we'll get back and start with a lot of energy. Hello, Warawi. Good to see you. Oh, I think I've also seen a new face here, Claudia. I'm not sure if I've seen you before. And yeah, we also and I also helped to submit the visa. The first time any Buddhist organization in Belgium is asking for a religious visa since the recognition of Buddhism under the Belgian law. So this is a historical first. Otherwise, I wouldn't be telling you because it would be quite boring. But it's good to hear that now Belgium has also recognized Buddhism in the law after a process of about 16 years, 16 years for Buddhists to ask for those rights. So we are not even sure whether it's completely working out, because we only have we had some civil servant, an officer, as you say in America, right? But in the United Kingdom, you say civil servant. The civil servant who helped, who said we could try it and it might work out. So we're going to try it, and we're working together with the bishop, because in Belgium, if you don't have the Christians on your side, you can't get anywhere. Anyway, it's been an interesting process, and it's good just to get out of the, the mode of documents. Get away from your documents and work, and try to get to come back to your center. We don't even have to get to our center. The center we can just allow the center to invite our mind, because the center is very big. We underestimate that. We think it's very small, but it actually is big enough to contain the universe. There's a big meaning to that. Okay, so Claudia is just letting us know that she has joined my meditations before. So I'm glad you're joining us, and everyone's welcome today. And so let's just dive into it in the meditation. So I'm going to ask to mute you. And so in case we have some newcomers who usually come in unmuted. And there is the other Miss N. So I would like all of you to find a good place to sit. And we can start by breathing in deeply and adjust your position accordingly. When we can find out how we adjust our position in a way that we can breathe in deeply. Now that we have come to the present moment, back to our body, we then continue to relax our body and mind. As our abbot and teacher in Thailand, Lompo Tamachayo, he always says, we cannot skip the step of relaxation, even if we've practiced for a long time. It's an important part of the process. We allow our body and mind to fully relax. We might imagine that we're standing in the shower, and we can feel the water of the shower passing along our body, and we feel that our body feels refreshed, as though it's soothed by the water. We can feel our forehead relaxing. We can feel our eyebrows relaxing. Our eyes. We can feel our face relaxing, our jaws. We can feel the water of relaxation flowing along our neck and shoulders. Our arms, hands. We can also notice how the water is relaxing our chest and abdomen. And it's relaxing our back and hips. It's relaxing our legs and feet. And whatever tensions we still feel in our body, we can send some kind awareness to that tension. We can allow that tension to evaporate as we give it space and kindness. After a while, we feel that we have spent some time relaxing our body. We then just let it be. We allow our body to just be as it is, naturally, relaxingly. We do not need to do anything about our body anymore. We can then devote our awareness fully to our mind. We become aware of our thoughts, our worries, concerns, and maybe also some stress, and so on. Now we give those thoughts some space. We give them some room. But we do not need to get involved. We do not need to follow our thoughts. We just let them be. As a wise grandparent is just observing her grandchildren or his grandchildren as they are playing in the yard, just letting it be. Just allow our thoughts. We just allow our thoughts to play around, but we do not feed them with any push or pull. We just let them play around, and after a while, they will become exhausted by themselves. We can already feel that now. As we allow our thoughts to be, they become less active because we are no longer pushing and pulling them around. We then notice we can feel more space, more openness in ourselves. Now, at this point, we might want to start searching for more peace inside, to try to speed up the process. But please let us not do this. Let us just allow everything to unfold naturally. Everything that's good in meditation comes to us. We do not need to seek it out. We just sit and wait. But we wait with wisdom and patience, enjoying the moment. And when I say enjoying the moment, I just mean being happy and content with whatever is there. Just being idle and neutral with everything that's happening. And as soon as we are distracted, as we are relaxing our body and mind, we might sometimes find ourselves becoming less tense, but also a bit more diffused, distracted. It doesn't matter now. We just allow the mind to return. We invite the mind back again. We invite our awareness back again to our body. And there's no need to rush into the center, because we have to allow our mind and body to be ready first. And we will notice that once our body, our mind, our heart feel at ease, we feel a bit more open. And sometimes we might even feel that we're blending in. We're blending in with the atmosphere around us, as though we're becoming part of the atmosphere around us. Just a little. We can feel the space, the room around us. The space, the room, it's not just the room we are sitting in, but it also feels like a landscape. Very open, broad, spacious. We might feel it very big, very wide, or maybe just a little. And we feel ourselves to be at the center of the landscape, our personal landscape. We can now feel that our awareness is still at our body, and we then become aware again of our breath. But this time round, we do not control it. We just walk along with our breath. We can see, we can feel it. As we breathe in, we can feel the movement of our abdomen. We can feel the movement of our lungs. And as our lungs expand, we can feel the movement of our breath all the way into the center of our abdomen, the center space within. And sometimes we just follow our breath again as we breathe out. We can do this a few times before we discard the breath altogether and simply reconfirm the place of the center space within. The center space sometimes feels big as your body maybe, and sometimes it feels very small. We think of our center space as being open, as being spacious, just like a sweater that is big and oversized. We call this in Thai language luom luom. It's oversized. There's space. There's some wiggling room. We can easily reconfirm with the center space within. With a very soft and gentle awareness, we can reconfirm as often as we'd like. Some days, this is just enough for us to sit and be happy. Just being here in the present moment. There's no need for anything more. We don't feel distracted, and we're not pinning our thoughts down. We just very softly, very gently, almost subconsciously, we almost subconsciously reconfirm the center space within. But sometimes this feels just a little too little. We feel our mind is a bit distracted. Maybe we feel like we're all over the place. In such a case, we can start out with the mantra. For many Western people, this is the easiest to start with. We can listen to a sound and remember that sound to come from our center, as though we put our ear to listen to the center. We allow our awareness of the sound to reconnect with the center. As we listen to the center space, we can hear the mantra that is so popular in our tradition. And that mantra goes like this. Samma Arahang. Samma Arahang. Samma Arahang. We can listen to the mantra as long as we like, because it's just soothing and comfortable to have a little wise voice inside of us. Even if it's part of us, it feels good. Or we can imagine a little moon or a little sun shining within, allowing whatever image to appear at the center. Sometimes the moon is a little vague. Sometimes it's a little dark. But then after a while, it just seems to become more clear. We do not need to rush this process at all. In fact, the very instinct we usually have is to try to clear up the image. So we just don't do that. We just settle with whatever appears at the center. Some days we like to watch the image. Sometimes, some days we like to listen to the mantra. And then some days we just sit and we just be at ease without following our thoughts, without forcing our thoughts down, just being at ease, giving our awareness a little nudge every now and then, inviting our awareness at the center every now and then. Most importantly, we feel comfortable just being in the present moment and neutral to whatever happens, whatever goes through our mind. Let us practice together in silence for these wonderful moments. And we gradually come to the final part of today's meditation, which is the sharing of happiness with our fellow human beings. We allow the soft energy of the meditation to fully suffuse our body and mind as we smile to ourselves and we say to ourselves, may I be happy. May I be free from suffering. This is no self-hypnosis. It is not a mantra of success, but it's simply a little exercise that we do to allow the loving kindness to grow inside our heart, because it's already there. We only need to tend it. We tend it by attending to it. When we are becoming aware of this loving kindness in us, we not only express this loving kindness to ourselves, but we also allow the loving kindness to expand as a sort of energy to all the people around us. We might imagine it expanding like a little bubble that expands outwards and gradually dissolves into the atmosphere, expanding outwards and sending all our good wishes to all the people around us in our house, in our household, to all the people living in our street, to all the people living in our neighborhood, to all the people living in our town, to all the people living in our county, to all the people living in our country, to all the people living in Europe, and to all the people living in the world. May all be happy, whether we know the people or we don't know them, whether there are people that we like or dislike. May all be happy. May all be free from suffering. May there be no hatred among us. May all be happy in body and mind. May all find the ways to become happy. We allow everyone in the world to be happy and peaceful in a wise manner. Then we gradually come to the final part of the meditation. We have just finished it. We become aware again, returning to our senses. As we listen to the sounds around us, such as any appliances, devices, or maybe a car outside, or our children who are playing in the room next to us. Or we can feel the floor or the chair, the seat on which we're sitting. We can feel our body, our feet and our hands. And as we gradually open our eyes, we remind ourselves that we can always reconnect with the center. It's always there and will give us space and pause for thought. As we open our eyes, we then look at the world in a different manner. As I wrap up the meditation with a short chant in the Pali tradition. Sapphe Buddha Palapatta Paccekanan Chayang Palang Arahanta Nanchate Narakang Pantami Sapaso Sapaputta Nupavena Sapathamma Nupavena Sapasangha Nupavena Satha Soti Pavantu. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this meditation. It's good to see the other Miss N joining our group as well. As you know, we have two presenters, Miss Nancy and Miss Natalie, but actually both of them are Mrs., I think. But we just call them Miss N because it sounds good. And then we have, where are we, Claudia? We have somebody from London, Maninut. Oh, Maninut. Welcome. And Martin, of course. Martin is joining us as well. And we have Tony. Well, there you are. Let me just take a few moments and then we can continue with the teaching for today. So just trying to say that when you are approaching the festivities of the Christmas and Santa Claus, don't forget to take some time, to spend some time on meditation as well. We might sometimes forget because of all the commitments that we have to our family, to our loved ones. But remember that when we have awareness, we have care. When we have care, we have love for others. So these two go hand in hand. So let us go back to the topic of today, or we haven't even started it. So we just start the topic of today, which is a bit of an old-fashioned kind of PowerPoint. I made this a long time ago. 3 to 4 style, they call it. And this is the topic of today. The Buddha and Santa Claus, or to be exact, Saint Nicholas. Now, I do have some right to speaking about this topic because although I am not Christian and have little knowledge about saints, the idea of Santa Claus and the tradition of Santa Claus in the United States as well as in the United Kingdom actually comes from Holland originally. So we are the origin, so I do have a little bit of right of speaking about it. So maybe you've wondered why we always start giving gifts when we have Santa Claus, when we're celebrating Santa Claus. And what does this all have to do with the Buddha? Why does a monk need to talk about this? Well, let's first start with the first question. Why do we celebrate Santa Claus? Well, Santa Claus is based, the whole tradition is based on the legends of a certain saint, maybe you can just call him maybe a wise person. That's a little bit more neutral. For me, that is maybe a better word to use. He's based on legends. It's based on legends of Nicholas of Myra. You could say he's probably the most famous Turkish person in Europe. But at that time, Turkey was, of course, quite different than now. He lived in the 3rd century of the Byzantine Empire and current-day Turkey. There are many stories about him. He was known for his generosity, and there are some historical documents about him also being present in meetings and so on. So he's a historical person, but there are, of course, many things we don't know about him. But he's always been presented as a highly generous and forgiving person, and sometimes also somebody who likes to give without knowing other people. So we can come back to that topic a little later. Now, Saint Nicholas is an interesting figure because he, for a long period of Christian history, of Western history to be exact, he was number 3 after Jesus and Maria. He was number 3. So anyone who says that Santa Claus is all about commerce and buying stuff, you're not completely right. There is some big traditions going back, because he was the saint of sailors, and he was an important person, the patron of sailors. So for many people, he was very important. But we have this good tradition of giving things on this day, on this period, which is fairly widespread these days. Even in Thailand, Santa Claus has become a bit of a tradition amongst the elite or amongst the middle class of Bangkok. So this is all quite interesting, because if in Christianity, generosity is such an important thing that the person who embodies generosity has been number 3 on the list of Christians, of important figures in Christianity after Jesus and Maria, then how come we talk about it today? Well, maybe it's interesting to look at how generosity is viewed in Buddhism. We admit that the Buddha has never met Santa Claus, but they did have some similar practices. There's different ways we can give in Buddhism. We give to help. This is a well understood form of giving in the West. We call this anukahatana, or in Thai, anukro. Anukahatana is like you give to help. It's charity, giving for a good cause, giving to those who are poor, which is an important thing, important theme during Santa Claus. It was important in the stories of St. Nicholas, but it became even more important when Charles Dickens wrote his famous Christmas Carol, which is a very good book, I think. And therefore, it became a topic of conversation to do charity during the Christmas, and it became a tradition since that time amongst 19th century Western people. It's a good tradition to give to help to anyone who is in need. If you ever meet a beggar, give a little bit. You don't always have to give money, though. We can give to befriend another person. This is common when we are generous and hospitable. What do you call that in English anyway? Hospitable, like we are a good host to our friends. We give to befriend, which we call Sankahatana. Or in Thai language, you could call it Songkro, but it's a bit confusing. It's not exactly the same meaning. This is important as well. Giving starts, after all, with the people around us. It's important to build friendship so we can learn from each other. We can work together smoothly with our colleagues, with our co-workers. And also, it's important that we can be friends so we can sometimes advise each other on the spiritual path. Then there is an important part, which is giving to repay. Patikaratana. Patikaratana is sometimes giving to repay may sound a bit like repaying somebody in a contract or something. But this is an old meaning of the word repay. It doesn't mean paying by money. It means to do something back for somebody. Just trying to, I know you probably all know that. Of course, it's a well-known meaning of the word repay, but just to reiterate that the word repay doesn't mean necessarily a payment by money, of course. Give to repay means doing something with the wisdom, that with the awareness that the other person has done good to you. It's not just giving as a favor and exchanging favors, but it's the idea that you want to honor the gratitude that you have. You want to honor the debt of gratitude to another person that that person has done for you. Is not exchanging favors in which there is an expectation, but it comes from the principle of what we call in Buddhism, we call this pupakari. What does it mean, pupakari? Pupakari means, this is also used in Thai language, by the way. Well, maybe not for people outside the temple, but anyway. Pupakari means the people who have done good for us first. The people who have done good for us first. The people who were there first to do good, and they didn't expect anything in return. Many parents can have the aspect of being a pupakari. It's very important to have pupakari in the world, but they are very precious. If we know somebody, maybe our parents, maybe our teachers in the world, or our teachers in spiritual matters, that are our pupakari, they don't expect anything in return, then we should honor them. So therefore, the Buddha said there's two precious people in the world. First, pupakari. Second, people who have gratitude and want to repay that gratitude. Okay, this is supposed to have a tilt. I can't type it now. Katanyu, pupakari, this has a dash as well. Katanyu, and this is with a tilde on it, so it's pronounced N-Y, Katanyu. And sometimes it also has the word kataweti. Kataweti. Katanyu Kataweti means to recognize, acknowledge the goodness other people have done, and to want to return the goodness, to want to return. This is a very difficult thing to find in the world. So the Buddha said these two people are very precious, because normally we tend to think in contracts, not only mostly in the West, maybe the most, but also in the East. We tend to think in contracts. So I do this for you, you do that for me, but it's not the same as gratitude. Gratitude is like, I do something good for you, but you may return the favor or not. I don't know, but I want to do that goodness from my heart. This is what we know in Thai Buddhism as a pupakari, and the person who recognizes this debt is a katanyu person, gratitude person, which is the mark of a good person. The fourth is the most important one, even more important than giving out of gratitude. Giving to purify. Now, to purify is not always associated with good things in Western languages and history, but here it means to clear the mind, to clear the heart, to make the heart grow, or in the words of the Buddha, to provide an ornament to the mind and heart. This is a very good thing as well. We call this parijjakatthana, or in Thai language, parijak, which means to give with the idea to want to become a better person yourself. Now, it seems to be a bit odd for many of us Westerners to see the idea of doing good for yourself as the highest on the list. Wouldn't it be better if we gave for the help to help another person or to be grateful to them? Well, actually, there is a very universal truth in life, and that is we all die alone. Nobody can go with us when we die. We are all born alone. Nobody can come with us when we are born in this world. There are many truths in life that we have to face alone. Therefore, in Buddhism, it's always considered very important to have a purpose for yourself as well, which you then can use to be a good friend to others. And that is why sometimes there is this emphasis on self-purpose in Buddhism. Now, some people like the Dalai Lama have considered this part of Buddhism very important to express to Western people, and have considered it a sort of wise selfishness. I think this word is a bit confusing. I prefer not to use that word, but you could say that it's important that when we do good, to remember that even if the other person doesn't appreciate it, even if no one else in the world notices it, even if no one else in the world recognizes it, we still grow. That's why the Buddha said that giving to purify yourself, to improve yourself, to ornament yourself, is the highest way to do good, because this is ultimately the thing that we take with us, not only in this life, but also in the next. But if you feel that that is a little bit odd, you can at least recognize that it's good to have both. We do something for the other person, we help them, but we also do something for ourselves. That is the very stable and good way to do good. So if we give a little bread to the beggar in the corner of the street, and the beggar is drunk and he throws away the bread, then we will at least know that we have done something good to grow as a human being. Because one day, when we are no longer giving, we might not see the need, and we might become stingy, or we might lose our goodness. So that's why it's important to recognize that self-aim as well. Now, let's just go for a few more slides before we stop for this evening. This is all about purpose, right? But how can we feel about giving? This is very important, because in Buddhism, the intention to give and the way we give is so important. We can give to somebody with the sense of, I want to help you because you are worse off than me. This is called tasatana, giving with conceit, literally giving to a slave. But that is, of course, not how we should literally translate it. Giving with conceit is like you give, but there's a sense of, I want to be the one who's helping you, and you have to be helped, and there's a sense of conceit. You might look down on the other person. Giving with friendship, sahayatana. In Thai language, sahayatan, you can give as a friend. You give as a friend, you give to a friend, is a sense of comradeship. It's a good thing. But it doesn't have the same value as giving with respect. Samitana. Samitana, giving with respect to another person, as you respect the other person as somebody who you can learn from. Samitana is not only for maybe a monk or a clergyman or clergywoman, but it could also be to anyone who you feel has something that you can learn from, has some virtue, has some good quality that you can learn from. This is what we call samitana, because there's a sense of wanting to learn. This is all about attitude. It's important that we recognize that these attitudes and those intentions that we talked about before, they are all important, but we should recognize there is more, there is need for all. We might give a good donation to a hospital, which is very good. We might give some donation to education, which is also very good, but we should also remember that it's also good to give to a religious cause every now and then. Whether it's your local church, your local, any wise person that you recognize as a leader of a spiritual community. And why? Because whether a person will be helped by a doctor does not make that person a good person. Whether a person is educated by a good teacher in school does not always mean that that knowledge is going to be put to good use. There are many crooks who are very intelligent. Therefore, this is also important to work on the moral dimension and the spiritual dimension of the heart and the wisdom of people. That's why when we are determining where we're going to give, we should also give to both those things that are to charity or to provide some goodness to others, but also give to the mind, to that which is about the mind and heart. And this, you might even use the word soul. Okay, so we have talked about attitude and intention. There's two types of giving that I would like to end with. There's the giving of material matters and the giving of spiritual matters. And why is this important? Because some forms of giving do not have to do with giving something material. We can give something immaterial as well. And that is actually a very high form of giving that the Buddha praised as the highest. If we give a person encouragement, if we give them some attention, if we give them some inspiration, it can sometimes be so much more valuable than material giving. But Dhammadana also includes forgiving, which is also known as apayatana, and giving knowledge, which is vitayatana. Yes. So this is also the two things which are included in there. Giving knowledge, which is not something always material, right? And forgiving, apayatana. Passing on knowledge is important. We can pass on mundane knowledge to others. We can pass on spiritual knowledge. As I already mentioned, giving somebody encouragement and inspiration is, after all, very important in this life and is the essence of spiritual friendship. But this is what I would like to end with today. Do you have any questions about this topic? Would you mind to stop the recording during the questions, please?